Hey guys, I am so excited for you to join this episode today. Dante Peña is the self-declared mayor of Oceanside, California. Born and raised in Oceanside, he knows that place inside and out. But what else he knows inside and out? It's creative real estate investing. If you're not already following him, find him at official Dante Peña on Instagram and listen to his live calls. He shows you how he's taking these subject to creative deals, and even though they don't cash flow on paper, on long term rentals, he's actually using creative ways to turn them into cash flowing machines. He has two midterm rentals right now. One, actually, they're both in California. And just listen to the way he's taken the deal down and converted them into cash flowing powerhouses. Thanks for joining me, guys. Listen in. What if you could stop chasing weekend guests and start earning consistent income 1 month at a time? Hi, I'm Vivian Yip, host, investor, and founder of crewhomes.com and the Hestia certification. And I believe there's a better way to build wealth through real estate. Welcome to the Midterm Rental Movement podcast, where I sit down with real hosts from all walks of life who are building real estate wealth with furnished rentals and not burning out. You'll hear how they got started, where they invest, and how they've made the shift from Airbnb stress to sustainable, scalable income. Whether you're a short term host tired of cleaning every weekend or a busy professional looking for a smarter income stream, this podcast is your blueprint. If you're ready to join the movement, subscribe now. And if you got a great fully furnished home, listed for free at crewhomes.com, that's cruhomes.com, because real freedom starts with real income, 1 month at a time. This is why the pros don't rely on Airbnb alone. If you're still only using Airbnb or VRBO without any software connected, you are putting your entire business at risk, especially if you're hosting extended stays, because at that point, you're not just offering vacation rentals anymore. You could be creating tenancy issues without even knowing it. And if you're not collecting signatures on your innkeeper agreement, you are wide open. That's why I use API connected software like Journey. It automates everything from messaging and calendar sync to the check in process, deposits, and yes, even getting that innkeeper agreement signed automatically before every guest arrives. My cleaners get scheduled without me lifting a finger. Guests check in, pay, sign, and get support, all without me being glued to my phone. Use my link below to get your free demo appointment with Journey. And if you use my link, you'll get access to a special insider program with no onboarding fees, no property listing minimums, just simple automation that protects your business and saves your sanity. Go pro, go automated. Click the link and schedule your demo now. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. We have a very unique show today because we have a very good friend of mine, Dante Pena, on the show with us today. Dante, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am the creative real estate investor. My name is Dante Peña, um, from San Diego, California, more particularly Oceanside. I currently reside in Florida, though, for tax purposes. I also have creative properties. We do creative with rentals throughout the United States, mainly California, Texas, and Florida. So I specialized in acquisitions. One person taught me to find what you're good at and stick to it, and I got really good at finding the deals. So we do a little bit of wholesale, a little bit of innovation, a little bit of creative finance. Just depends on the deal.
Amazing. So, how did you get started doing that?
Good question. I was working a corporate job in 2017, and I was studying to get my real estate license and passing the test. And right when I passed the test, I had some stuff that popped up from when I was younger. They didn't want to give me my license. There was a whole bunch of hurdles, and almost they pretty much denied me. So I was pretty much devastated because I thought I was going to quit, corporate America by getting my real estate license, and now I can't get my license. So a buddy of mine ended up telling me about wholesaling. And I was like, what's wholesaling? So I started doing some research, started looking into it more. And then I ended up closing my first wholesale deal in 2018 for $30,000. Once the wire hit, I was hooked. It's kind of like a drug. So started doing more of that, started doing hard money, creative finance flips. And now, fast forward to this day, pretty much my whole portfolio has been on creative finance.
I think you actually have a really cool Instagram channel because you do live calls on there, right? Because I think
I do.
even for me, I love creative finance because I think it's a really unique perspective to overcome a lot of obstacles that people see when it comes to buying real estate. But
Hmm.
with your experience and your perspective, every obstacle feels like an opportunity. And I love watching your live videos because you're helping people get through these challenging real estate deals.
Yeah.
How did you learn all this stuff?
To be honest, I invested in myself a lot of conferences, a lot of masterminds, a lot of mentorships. Like I've spent upwards of $30,000 on mentorship for people to teach me what I learned. But the common thing is it's really just getting out there and making it happen. And then a lot of trial and error on, you mix with what you've learned with trial and error, and then you get with, what you have now. And so the way I like to teach my community is we are problem solvers first, real estate investors second, right? So the goal is you see these problems. A lot of these people don't want to take on deals because it's the numbers, right? And wholesaling or innovations or any type of real estate investment, whether you're a fix and flipper, people are just going to pass on a deal because the numbers don't make sense for them. Just because you pass on it and because the numbers doesn't make sense doesn't mean that there isn't some sort of opportunity we can create from it. And that's the thing. We've gotten really, really good at creating opportunity where nobody else sees it. And that's the reason why, we do a lot of the creative stuff that nobody else does. And that's based off of what their problem is and giving them a solution.
All right, so I want to get deeper into that because obviously we're on the show because it's about midterm rentals, and I know you've been able to successfully convert some of those deals into midterm rentals. But I want to touch into like right now, it's July of 2025. Why is creative finance so important right now?
From what I've seen, I've been doing real estate since 2006, and I've been through a couple different, we'll call them corrections, right? You have a point in life where the interest rates were really low. Okay. You were 2, 3% interest rates, and people were overpaying for their houses, right? Houses were flying off the shelf. You're out in Austin, you've seen it. Values were inflated significantly. And when I saw this happening, again, I've been doing real estate since 2006. I saw the writing on the wall. I already knew that this is going to be crashing down. It's not a matter of if, it's when. I'm not a
Speculator?
fortune teller with a crystal ball or anything, but you can see the writing on the wall, right? So when that happened, when the interest rates dropping, fast forward to when the interest rates actually went back up to its record highs, investors really relied on that interest rate being low, right? Because that interest rate determined if they cash flow or not. And so a lot of people operating on the burst strategy can't do the burst strategy anymore because the interest rate that we're at right now doesn't work. The payments, if you look at the monthly payments versus what it was at a 2% versus where we're at right now, maybe 6.5, 6.7, it's a significant more monthly payment. So because of that, you have now less buyers in the market than you have, sellers. And so what's happening is these people who overpaid in 2021 or 2020 or whatever, they're trying to sell their house on the market and nobody's paying what they want. So they're having to lower the price because typically the more you lower the price, the more you're eventually going to get the price you want. The problem is the amount they owe is almost just as much as what they have it on the market for, and nobody wants to buy them.
I was gonna say, I don't even think it's sometimes about not having the buyer buy it, but the seller can now not afford to sell it, right?
Right. I mean yeah, I mean that's the thing that something happens. The seller loses a job, they go through a divorce. Life happens and they can't make the payment. They went from two incomes to one. They can't afford the payment. They want to sell the house. They're not behind. They just don't want to deal with it anymore. So they put it on the market. So the house I'm living in right now, it's a sub two house that was listed on the market for 340,000. The loan amount on it is 338,000, right? There's no equity in this home. And so because of that, nobody wants to buy this. I mean, even if they were to buy it for, let's just say, for, 345, you're going to have your commissions, you're going to have your closing costs. At the end of the day, you're going to end up having to write a check to the title company just to pay out the commissions and closing costs. And I don't know if I got into buying and selling houses to write checks out just to sell something. So for us, we're able to come out of the creative structure like, hey, you don't really have anything in this. You're going to end up spending money by trying to sell this on the market. Why don't you just let me take over the payments on the mortgage and I'll take on the burden on on your shoulders. And so I took over a 4.75% interest rate with a $335,000 mortgage in which I have a 2022 brand new house built that I just picked up for the mortgage payment that's inside of a lagoon community. So they have like these man-made lagoons that you can like pretty much go hang out in. They charge typically $40 a month, but the HOA pays for it. But that all came from it being, with somebody who couldn't sell their house on market.
So, are you saying that you were able to take possession of this property without having to put a down payment?
No down payment, no credit, no checks, no nothing, just paperwork.
Amazing. All right, let's fast forward to the midterm rentals that you have now, because I believe you had mentioned to me that you picked those up through creative finance as well. So I know you about this triplex out in Oceanside. Can you walk us through how that deal worked out?
Yeah, that was a fun one. So it all started with the thought of I'm going to own Oceanside. I was born and raised in Oceanside, California, so that's
He
my
calls
hometown. My
himself the
family's
mayor of Oceanside, guys.
so self. I don't know about. I wouldn't say self-proclaimed, but apparently that's what people are calling me. I told my friends that, and they were like, "No way, no way!" Like they're talking mad trash. Like you're not the mayor of Oceanside, but I'm like, I'm telling you, that's what they call me. Yeah, self-proclaimed, but Oceanside's been my home since I was born. My grandfather was in the Marines. It's right next to the largest Marine base they have in the United States, which is actually what kind of pumped the economy in the very early like 60s. And so they bought their house out there for about $30,000 and they kind of never left. So my whole family's pretty much, born and raised there. Gone to school with city council member. I've gone to school with city council members. My mom went to high school with the mayor at the moment. Like it's very kind of big, small town. But it's a beautiful small town and it's right next to the Pacific Ocean where there's just so much to offer there, and everybody's more focused on San Diego. And so I want to own Oceanside. So I talked about this prior to buying my triplex at Oceanside, in which this deal was brought to me by some wholesalers, and the wholesalers couldn't sell the triplex, right? And then it was listed on the market, and they couldn't sell it on the market for the price they wanted to as well. So a brand new wholesaler from my community that I taught how to find deals ended up bringing me the deal. And by then I'd seen this deal so many times that he was just like, "Hey, do you deal with unpermitted units?" And I already knew. I was like, "Is this on Garfield?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "This house still hasn't sold yet. Why not?" So we get on the phone with the sellers, we find out all the situations, and then we're able to structure it in a way where it's like, "Hey, look, nobody's giving you your price right now because of the way that the rates are. And not only that, you have two unpermitted units in the back that nobody wants to deal with. And so I will, but it's going to have to be on my terms." And so we ended up purchasing this thing for about 975,000. I put no money down. I actually got paid at closing to buy this property. So not only did I buy this property, but I walked away with money in my pocket when I closed on it. And we took over a 3.5% interest rate, I want to say. Can't remember. I got to look at it. Which is now cash flowing. Every unit is now cash flowing as a midterm rental, bringing in close to about 9,500 to $10,000 a month, which would have normally been about maybe 75 on long term.
Wow.
And then, STR, we could do that, but City of Oceanside's weird about permitting. So we got to be careful on how we, structure it, or else they're going to start taxing us on short term.
So talk to me about running a midterm rental or medium term rental in like a triplex style property. Because as you know, I have duplexes, but I also
Mhm.
have single family homes. I don't have a busier type of property with a triplex. Is there privacy between the units?
There's two units in the back, and then you got the one in the front. Honestly, it's the location of it, if anything. So, I mean, it wouldn't say like there's two units right next to each other. You wouldn't be having so much privacy if you wanted to be like, let's just say out hanging out in front of your porch or something. But the location of this place is it's like 10 blocks from, the beach. You're right next to the Oceanside Pier. You're right in the heart of like downtown Oceanside almost. It's close by to everything. You could jump on the freeway, you're at the harbor, like 2 minute drive, you're at the harbor. Another 5 minute drive, you're in Carlsbad. You could jump on the five, and it's about a 40-minute drive to downtown San Diego. So as far as the privacy, I would say somewhat yes, but even if that's not an issue, it's really location that people would be paying for.
Well, how did you know it was going to be a good midterm rental? How did you know that?
I didn't. It was trial and error. We were gonna
It,
try to Airbnb it.
it's funny because I think some people overthink it, right? They are like, I'm so scared to do a midterm rental. I'm so scared that it's not going to work out. But I think the bottom line is if it's in a good location, like you're saying,
Yeah.
close to highways, close to different employers and in attractive places,
Hmm.
I think that the chances of it doing really well would be pretty high.
Yeah.
If it was like a different scenario where it's out in the country, maybe that's a different story. But generally
Right.
speaking, I think as long as your location is good and the area feels safe to walk around at night for a female with a dog, maybe that's generally a good sign that you're in a decent area to run a midterm rental.
Right.
So what kind of obstacles have you run into by doing midterm rentals, or it's been pretty good?
So I am not an operator. Okay. I like to just acquire the properties and then put an operator in place that I can trust because I got to go get more deals. That's what I'm good at. Okay. So my mentor taught me learn to find the deals and the rest will play its part. Okay. I'm not really good at midterm rentals. I don't actually run or facilitate any of them. So if you're going to ask me a question, it would probably be one of my operators you needed to talk to more than me. But I will say, once you actually get it up and running, it's kind of like a revolving cycle. So I've done Airbnb, I've done midterm. I would say I like midterm better because the turnover, yeah, your turnover is extremely lower, right? Where you got to worry about getting the house cleaned up by the cleaners and everything looking good for the next guest to come in. And then there's always, I've had some issues that just arise. The guests get there and like, I didn't know about the issues. They pop up. It's not a good experience for the guests. Now, my operator who's got superhost is worried about losing their superhost status. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like stuff that you have to jump through on hoops that when you do midterm, that they move in, they pay, and that's it. It's no different than almost a long-term tenant. Difference is the revenue of what you get for having a midterm furnished place, right? So I kind of underestimated midterms because I just bought a condo in Spring Valley, California, about 20 minutes outside of San Diego. And nobody wanted this deal because the numbers didn't work, right? Like it didn't work on a long-term play. And so, I had one of my private money lenders. He's a little bit of a risk taker. He was down to come in on it, and I was like, let's try it out. I just told him straight up, like, hey, this would be the strategy. I don't know if it's gonna work, but let's find out, right? And we ended up the mortgage on that is about 2,800 a month. We ended up renting that out for 4,200 now, and we bought that property for no money down. We just took over the mortgage and that was it. And so that's a lot of the deals that we pay with. Now, I also get a lot of people in my community or that reach out to me. They want to buy these type of deals. I don't buy all of them. I don't buy all of them. I sell them to some of my people, but the people that I sell them to, they're vetted. I got to make sure I know that the person who's going to buy it is going to be able to make the payment. But yeah, I mean, these things are out there right now, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. You just got to find them.
I think this is so important because a lot of the deals that you're finding out there just aren't going to break even as a long-term rental. And even in most markets moving forward, I don't really know how you're able to acquire a property and have a
Mhm.
long-term rental unless you bought like 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So I love that you've been able to explore the midterm rental strategy with your creative finance deals. And I love, of course, seeing you succeed with them. So do you think that most of your deals moving forward will also become midterm rentals? If you've got a rental, whether it's short term, midterm, or long term, you need a solid insurance policy that's actually made for landlords. I use Steadily because it's fast, digital, and built for real estate investors just like us. No long phone calls, no back and forth, just a clean, modern way to get coverage. You can get a quote in under 2 minutes with Steadily.com. Again, that's Steadily.com, modern insurance for modern hosts. Check out the link below to get your quote today.
I'd like to think so. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like unless I get a really good operator for Airbnb, it just seems like a lot of work. Stuff breaks. People don't take care of stuff like it's theirs, they're in and they're out, they steal stuff. Like I've had, I get stuff stolen. So like with midterms, I don't have to overly compensate for the house. I could just have like the bare, linens and all that stuff they need just to kind of like sleep. And then the rest is on them. I don't have to provide soap. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like so yeah, most likely. And honestly, it's the midterm rentals is the reason why I'm even able to cash flow. Like some of these deals, you're almost not cash flowing to negative cash flow on some of them. It's the only reason why I'd be willing to stand that out is because somebody once told me that they had a cash flow for like $40 and it turned into 400 one time. And so I was like, I kind of like took that and I ran with that because I know in 5, 10 years when appreciation kicks in, if I can withstand this payment long enough, it's going to pay off with the appreciation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. So I love what you've done here. What words of advice do you have someone that is wanting to start learning about creative finance?
Don't do the first deal on your own. Maybe don't do the first few deals on your own. Get with somebody that like knows how to do it. Like the biggest mistake you could do, because creative finance takes a lot of legal paperwork, which I don't do the paperwork. I have a legal team that does it for me. You can put yourself in a lot of like legal liability trying to do this on your own. You can learn it as much as you want, but I say get with somebody who knows how to do it already and get with them and bring some sort of value to them, which it's like, I don't know, bringing them the deal that the person might want to buy or, learning how to fish. I say learning how to fish because finding the deal is everything. Somebody once told me if you can find the deal, you'll never have to worry about finding the money, right? So I got really, really good at finding the deal and then bringing it to somebody that knew how to do creative finance and had them show me how to do it before I started doing it on my own.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important to note that. Like I consider myself a pretty savvy real estate investor. I've done
Mhm,
BRRRRs, I've done wholesale, I've done
mhm,
hotel. Subject to or creative finance in this way is something I've been hesitant to do because I just don't know enough about it. But I'm so
mhm.
glad that I can just call you and text you
Yeah,
to get advice from you. But there's some things you need to look out for with creative finance is that you are taking over the property legally by taking over the deed, and the
correct,
mortgage stays with the previous owner. But
correct.
how that mortgage transaction, how that insurance paperwork, all that stuff, how that moves and the flow that it happens in has to be done in a very, very specific way because
Correct.
then you can run into problems like the due on sale clause or
Right.
whether or not you do a land trust or whether you're going to have insurance canceled. What happens if
Right.
you have an insurance incident while you own the property? There's so many things that a lot of moving pieces that happens in the creative finance deal that I'm just
Yep.
personally not very educated on and something I'd
Yep.
like to get more educated on. So,
Well, actually, you did say a couple of things that sparked my interest because I'm going through them right now. I have one deal, the insurance dropped them. Florida's been doing that because of these hurricanes. And they got another one. The seller's working with me on a claim for the roof after damage from the hurricane. And I have these public adjusters that are pretty good at what they do, and sometimes they're able to get you a little bit more money for more rehab.
hmm.
So we're in the process of doing that right now. And then I have one where it's like the insurance dropped, and now we're having to pay out of pocket.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
What are the options when the insurance drops? When you say you're paying out of pocket, what does that mean?
I mean, I'm having to put up the money myself. So, we had a tree that fell on a fence. The fence is completely damaged now, so we're gonna have to rebuild the fence. It's not something that we could, do from the insurance money now because the insurance would drop. Now, there are some instances where the public adjusters that we're working with, they could negotiate against the insurance company for dropping us. So that's another option, but I haven't actually explored that yet. So I'm not going to tell you something I haven't actually explored.
What
By
what
the
part
way,
of Florida is it that the insurance dropped out?
all of Florida.
All of so you're
Yeah, it's like
telling
a thing
me
happening, same way California did with the fires.
so you're telling me nobody in Florida can get insurance right now?
No, they can. They're just some of the insurance providers are dropping them, or like sometimes it's you need to get a new roof by this time frame, or we're gonna drop you, you know?
And then the
Something.
incident already happened, so even if you do get new insurance, they're not going to cover it because they won't
Right.
retroactively cover something. Okay,
Right.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty tough thing. So if your insurance drops you and there's a mortgage payment on the property, how does that work?
I think the insurance covers just the mortgage. So it's like it's not going to be like
No perils, no
correct.
cover. Wow. Okay. Well, that's something to look out for. If you guys are listening in and you're doing creative deals in Florida or in California, these are definitely really, really hot topics right now with the insurance incident. I actually have a friend of mine, Connie, who just messaged me and she said she lives in Orange County, and her insurance dropped her because she is in a fire zone. So
Yeah.
a lot of people
Those fire zones are they're doing that. They just dropped everybody that had that fire in LA. A lot
that's
of people got
crazy.
dropped from their insurance as well.
Wow.
Hmm.
I think the next few years are going to be really interesting as to what happens with the insurance industry. So.
I think they got too much leverage, and so that needs to change.
Yep. Well, awesome. We're close to being up for time. I'm just curious, were there any books or maybe some people that you follow that really inspired your journey into both real estate and midterm rentals or all the above?
I haven't read anything on midterms, but I do have a couple books that kind of help me with wholesaling. Actually, I have it right next to me. It's the Real Estate Wholesale Bible by Than Merrill. This is how I got my first wholesale deal. So I teach the community on how to find deals, and so I always pretty much market them, tell them to read that book, or even read stuff to them out of the book to kind of give them some ideas. Because in that book, particularly, what helped me was figuring out my marketing strategy, which at the time was chasing foreclosure lists and helping people try to get out of them, or even trying to, sell them before they make it to the auction. And that's where I was able to get my first successful deal. So that would be for real estate. As far as mindset, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill changed my life forever. That's probably one of the biggest ones. And then, if you're wanting to learn to be good on the phones and talking to sellers, negotiation is really, really big. So I'm currently reading right now Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Amazing book.
Hmm.
Amazing book.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dante. How do people find you if they need to reach out to you?
At official Dante Pena on Instagram, official Dante Pena on TikTok. Also, you can follow us at Creative REI, which is Creative Real Estate Investor. Know the just Creative REI. And then, yeah, if you guys are interested in learning, feel free to join the community. I have a free school you can go to. The Creative REI school community is 100% free. We teach you exactly how to find the deals, where we find the deals, the data behind it. And then if you get a deal and you guys have something that you need to move or you're looking to, sell, I'm a buyer as well. So if I don't buy it, I could find you somebody who can.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dante.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome to the ARC Watchtower. Do you know what the major online travel platforms actually cover? Most hosts don't until it's too late. Payout delays, denied claims, and no protection for direct bookings, midterm stays, or reverse arbitrage setups. That's why there's ARC Watchtower, with up to $50,000 in damage protection and $1 million in liability coverage for every stay on every platform. It's automated, platform agnostic, and built for today's operators, from short-term hosts to mid-term rental pros and reverse arbitrage managers placing insurance or corporate guests. Sign up today in 60 seconds. No forms, no gaps, just real protection.